Good afternoon and welcome back to another video on our Outreach to Africa series. I'm speaking today with Professor Kiveshni Naidoo. Professor Naidoo is a woman who started at the bottom and at present acting as the academic director of probably the largest private education institution in Africa. Professor Naidoo has also just written another textbook with some co-authors, Human Resource Management in Southern Africa. Now I'm very proud to say that Professor Naidoo is also alumnus of the business school, and she did a PhD at our business school with pride. And I'm going to talk to Professor Naidoo on the challenges as a woman to the top. Professor Naidoo, where did you start your career?
Good afternoon, Prof Bischoff, and thank you. My journey started some 40 years ago. I was very naive, very immature, didn't have any idea of where I was going in terms of my career. But what did influence me was my mom, my granddad, my uncles and aunts were all involved in basic education. They continued to encourage me and make me understand and believe that education is what leads you to achieving greater heights. I continued my career. I joined a private institution, but it was in the FET sector, very different from where I'm currently at. And when I joined that particular institution, the founder of that institution, amazingly enough, was a man, and he afforded me many opportunities in terms of growing. I used that as an opportunity, as a springboard to ensure that I find my strengths. It was not an easy journey. Lots of people look at you, you will come across some failures, some successes. But during that time, I really grew as an individual. So having said that, I continued my career. I pursued my master's studies. I then went on to do my PhD, and with the support of my two kind professors, am I allowed to mention their names?
Yes, you may.
Okay, my two professors, Professor Bischoff and Botha, there was a lot of hand-holding, because doing a PhD is not something that you could say, I've gone through the ranks of education and I know what it entails. So the support that I got from both of you was phenomenal. It made me grow as a person, and I'm sure that you will also attest to the fact that I did grow in front of you in terms of when you first met me to where I actually ended up after 2011. So Prof, that is pretty much my career path that I'd followed, or what I'd actually gone through. And I know that you asked me the question about my career and what were my challenges. I would say that part of this journey is that one of the challenges that you face is that women are envious of other women's progress. Okay, there's very little acceptance and support that's given. In my journey, I found that I got more support from the male, my male colleagues. There was much more support, encouragement, and so forth. So I probably had a different experience. So what I do believe is that being a woman in management can be challenging, because there's always the question about, does she have the knowledge? Does she have what it takes to do the job? And can she be equal to a man? And for me, that was never what I would want. I'd never want to say that I'm equal. But what I do know is that if you look at what we bring to the table, we have our set skills and traits, which pretty much makes us stand out as to why we are in what we are. And if we look at education itself, being in the private sector, there's a very big disjoint between being in a public institution as compared to a private institution. And I found that in the private institution, I grew much quicker and faster, because there's a lot of responsibilities that come in being private. Public institutions, you have a little bit of specialization in terms of where you want to be, etc. But in private, the world's your oyster and you take on the opportunities.
Oh, that's fantastic. Especially as a man, I'm very glad to hear that we were so supportive. Prof Naidoo, I want to ask you the challenges, 2 or 3 challenges that you experienced. How did you overcome these challenges? And can you operationalize these challenges to advise to other women how they should do that?
Look, in terms of challenges, right, every job comes with challenges. That is something we cannot shy away from. Being in the education sector, I think that we are in a more fortunate position that we teach management, we teach leadership. And part of this journey is to actually empower others that have these challenges. And it may differ from woman to woman because it all depends on your management style. You know, theoretically, there's many ways that you could follow. But when you look at the challenges that being in a world that used to be historically said that it's a male-dominated world. And I just think that there's been a lot of transition, there's been a lot of changes that has happened and that has transpired. So as women, we're given a fair opportunity to prove ourselves. But for me, it's about being authentic, it's being true to yourself and not making others making others understand that whatever you bring to the table is of value. Okay, there will always be times when you are judged. There will always be times when you're told categorically that you're not making sense. But these are things that if you believe that that is what it is, and you believe that that is what should be the way forward, if there's a problem or and you're looking for a solution, then stick by it. Don't always show that you are uncertain, you're feeling less confident about things. Speak with conviction, because that's what matters. Because people take you seriously because of, I'm not sure if having a title actually impacts on why people would listen to you, but I do know that I've used it from time to time myself, saying that I'm a professor or I'm a doctor, and then people, you have all attention, you know. But for women, it's my advice is that be authentic, be yourself, be honest and true to yourself, because you can try to overcome the challenges, but I can't say for sure that there's a perfect science that the challenges that we encounter are all the same. Yes, the issue about feminism is always the question I ask: do men understand what feminism is, right? And sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. We also seem to make ourselves as victims. You know, if we're sitting in a boardroom, for example, and there's many men around the table, you find that you're not heard or you're not seen because you choose to be silent about it. So it's about making yourself heard, not feeling, sorry for yourself and saying that I'm a woman. And it's important to note that as women, we also have to juggle many things. We've got to create a work-life balance. We've got to juggle our professional career. We've got to juggle our personal lives, make sure that your spouse is supported enough, your children are there to be supported, you pick up your kids from school. These are all the challenges that come with being in the working environment. But that shouldn't be an excuse for not being able to be seen, to be heard, and to achieve whatever you're planning to do.
Yeah. No, that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. I specifically like the way that you say women should contribute, they must add value, and therefore they will be valued. Yes, thank you very much for doing this interview.
Thank you very much, Prof, for having me, and it would have lasted a little bit longer, but I'm hoping that this is the start of many conversations.
I hope so too.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Prof.
Thank you, Kiveshni.
All right.